Welcome to a special edition of Flying Monkey FPV. Special insofar as we've got lights set up, we've got a microphone, and we're going to do a bench build. Well, actually a bench dissection I think is really what we're looking for here. The dissection in question here is the BetaFPV 75x with the Caddx Turtle mounted on top. This quad, all by itself, actually flies really great. Rolls, pitch, flips, acro, really does a great deal. When you mount that camera on there, though, then you've got a lot of extra mass on top, and you'd think, oh, it might actually tip over a little or something like that, but it really doesn't. And all that mass actually really stabilizes the quad, and you can do some great cinematic flying and just gentle maneuvers and not ever see any bumbles, twitches, or wind adjustments and things like that. So it's really an amazing thing. I'm going to disassemble it for you here on camera and then put it back together again. And putting it back together again, we might make some adjustments, but I hope you'll stay along here to check it out. So, to the build. All right, so we've got the quad on the bench. I think the first thing we're going to do is we'll just do a full disassembly of this entire thing and remove this entire top pod here from the quadcopter itself. The way that it's constructed is really just there's a little adapter that plugs into the board. Those wires go attached to the main board, so we'll unplug that, and then we'll undo 3 screws, which will remove this entire subsection from the quad. So, abracadabra, hocus pocus. All right, now that we've got it disassembled, you'll notice that the pod is completely separated from the main frame. We're going to set this aside for the moment and just focus on this setup here. So this is the way the quad comes from the factory. What we are missing here is, of course, the camera. We've done some slight modifications here. We've done an initial dewiring or diswiring or removal wires of the camera pod that normally sits up on top of here, and it has 3 little black wires that actually attach to the 3 pins on here. 2 of them are voltage positive and negative, and the third one here is a yellow video. You'll notice the yellow video is now attached to this dongle here, and then the power wires, which are red and black on this one, run underneath here. You can see it a little better. Run underneath here, all the way under to the underside of this quad here, and then they tack on top of the power leads for this quad here. And you'll notice here I'm kind of poking at the receiver, which is sitting under here nice and tucked away, but it's really a fairly simple wiring. That first pin there on the far left there of the board is the video signal, and if you run power off of this thing to the camera, it will work, but the VTX will start to die out as you get further away, because it's not putting out enough power through the main board to power both the camera and the VTX, and then if you try to dial the power up to 200, it just won't work at all. So by running the power directly off the battery leads, you've got a much better time powering both the camera and the VTX at the same time, and it works wonderfully. The problem we've got now, if we put the quad aside here, is we've got a lot of space here. And if you kind of take a look here, there's a ton of space. We don't need all that headroom on top of this quad. So what we're going to do is we're going to do some magic camera work here, and we're going to shorten all this stuff up. But first, I think we need to disassemble this to show you what this even looks like. So through more magic, through the work of cameras, we'll just do this. Hocus pocus. There we go. Now that it's all done, you'll see here we've got a bunch of different parts. We've got a couple of plates that it comes with for mounting to 30mm stacks. I'm using those to kind of encapsulate the whole thing on top of the quad. You've got these standoffs. That's what's holding the 2 plates apart, and you'll notice here they're pretty fugly. I don't know if that comes out on camera well, but I basically hit that with a soldering iron to hog away a bunch of the material so that it fit, because they bump up right against the corners. And while I'm willing to go and file these plastic standoffs away, I'm not willing to kind of file off the corners of this board because there's lots of dainty little transistors and such. So what we're going to do now is we're going to modify this. This little sucker right here is the piece that we will need to focus on here, so let's move all this other stuff out of the way. And we're going to do a little bit of work on this. We did leave the screws in here. We'll pull those screws out here in a moment. But I'm going to use, again, my magic wand, and we're going to make this thing transform into something a lot more low profile. Abracadabra, hocus pocus. And that's not quite what I had in mind. Let's try this again. Something cooler. Abracadabra, hocus pocus. Well, while yes, this is cooler, I don't think that's going to possibly fit or work on this quad. Yeah, no, this is not what we're looking for. Let's try again. No, I'm going to keep that. All right. Abracadabra, hocus pocus. Well, yeah, I guess a beer. Sure. Okay, that's pretty cool. Don't mind if I do, but you know what? That's really not what we're here for. We're here for the part. All right, we're really going to do this. Maybe if I do it in reverse. Hocus pocus, abracadabra. That's what we're looking for. All right. So we got the new part here, and you'll notice that it's a lot lower profile than the one as before. I've also printed it out of, not out of TPU, but it's out of Semiflex 98. It's a little bit stiffer, but not a whole lot stiffer than the other stuff. It's just got a little bit of give to it, which is great. Basically, these holes line up with the quad as it sits on the table here. And then allows us just a little bit of room, but not like super tall. So let's ask this thing through my magic stick here to see if we can't like reassemble this whole thing. So alakazam, hocus pocus. And there we go. Now I've got it all set up. Got the mount attached to the bottom plate, screws that run through it into the bottom plate through the processor board. This top plate is purely here just to hold the camera for the most part. If I didn't need to hold the camera there and I was mounted somewhere else, I wouldn't even need this top plate. But we should probably go ahead and get this thing mounted onto the quad. And I think I can just do it here. If I just hold it here just like this, and I do a 3-2-1 alakazam, it'll work. Let's see here, 3-2-1. Okay. It's all bolted back on. A lot more low profile. Suppose I could do a live battery test here. Definitely want to go get a 2S battery. Let's do it live. Notice I'm not using a smoke stopper. And we have a red light under there, which indicates that we are recording. And we have a VTX that is lit because of the green lights. And we have lights on the bottom, which tells us that everything is powered up. So I can probably unsmudge this. Now you're going to stare back up at the camera. We could probably even take this footage off of there and see what it looks like. All right. Thumbs up. Thumbs up.